In Canada, we actually use two different systems of measurements quite a lot. One is the metric system, and that's what we've talked about so far, but the other is the imperial system. The imperial system does not come from Star Wars. It comes from the United States. They didn't invent the system, but after the whole rest of the world moved on from imperial units and moved to metric, the United States kept it. And so here in Canada, we often get stuck with it as well. So let's start at the small end of imperial measurements. The smallest common metric unit that we use day to day is the inch. You see this a lot when you're looking at TV screen sizes. Those are always given to you in inches. Same with phone screen sizes and laptop screens. Almost all of those types of monitors are given in inches. But we also use inches a lot today in things like construction and carpentry. And mostly this is, again, a holdover from the old days when Canada was still on the imperial units. And so we still have a lot of work that was done and is currently done in imperial units. The next common imperial unit is the foot. You'll see this a lot when you're measuring heights. The height of a person is often like 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall, or the height of mountains, the height of bridges is often given in feet. The next biggest imperial unit is the yard, and the yards aren't used a lot day to day, but you do see them used a lot in sports, especially in the length of sports fields. So you see it here on the American football field and also a soccer field. All those measurements are usually given in yards. And then the biggest common imperial unit is the mile. So like how we use kilometers for driving and these big distances in the metric system, miles is that equivalent. It's the unit that we use for measuring speeds of vehicles, for measuring the difference between towns, and we can also use it for really large heights. Like if you wanted to measure the height of a mountain, you could use miles as well. Just before we get to making measurements and estimations with imperial units, let's talk about how we abbreviate them so that we don't have to write out the word every time. And there's some common ones that you need to be aware of before you see them. So starting with the inch, you'll see it either as IN for inch, but you might also see it as 2 apostrophes side by side like that. The foot, we can abbreviate with FT for foot, or you'll see it as a single apostrophe. And feet and inches often get paired up. So for an example, a height of someone being 5'6", that's 5 feet 6 inches tall. And so they often get paired up and written with those apostrophes. And we'll see some more examples of that in the lessons ahead. The yard can be abbreviated YD. And finally, the mile can be abbreviated MI for mile. This one is really important to make sure that I is there because otherwise you can get it confused with meters very easily.